Hello, welcome to COVID classes. Today we will be studying about acute pericarditis. Before studying acute pericarditis, we should know about the pericardium. So, what is pericardium? Pericardium is a double layered sac around the heart with visceral pericardium, a serous membrane, and parietal pericardium, a fibrous membrane, and the two are separated by a small quantity of fluid, around 15 to 50 ml of fluid, and this fluid is known as the pericardial fluid. And this fluid is an ultrafiltrate of plasma. Pericardium is having certain functions. It prevents the sudden dilatation of cardiac chambers during exercise and hypervolemia. It restricts the anatomic position of heart, probably retards the spread of infection from lung and pleural cavity to heart. Total absence of pericardium, either congenital or after surgery, does not produce any obvious clinical disease. And with this background, we can now study the acute pericarditis. So, acute pericarditis is the inflammation of pericardium lasting for less than 6 weeks. Let us now talk about the etiology of acute pericarditis. The etiology of acute pericarditis can be divided into infectious and non-infectious. The infectious causes include viral, pyogenic, tuberculous, fungal, and some other infections. Non-infectious include acute idiopathic pericarditis, pericarditis associated with renal failure, associated with neoplasm, associated with trauma, associated with MI or post-MI or post-radiation. These are the common causes. The infectious agents that are causing the acute pericarditis, they include the viral agents like Coxsackie virus, ecovirus, herpes, mumps, adenovirus, hepatitis virus, HIV, and pyogenic agents include Streptococcus, Pneumococcus, Legionella, and Staphylococcus, etc. These are the causative agent of acute pericarditis. Let us now talk about the symptoms of acute pericarditis. The symptoms include chest pain, which is severe, retrosternal or left precordial, referred to neck, arm, or left shoulder. The pleuritic pain may be present, which is sharp, aggravated by inspiration or coughing. The pain of the pericarditis can radiate to trapezius ridge. It is intensified by lying supine and relieved by sitting up and leaning forward. Pain is often absent in slowly developing pericarditis like the tuberculous, post-radiation, neoplastic or uremic pericarditis. Let us now talk about the signs of acute pericarditis. Signs include pericardial friction rub at some point of the illness is seen in 85% of the patient. Let us talk about the ECG changes. ECG changes can be divided into 4 stages. Stage 1 include widespread ST elevation with upward concavity of the ST segment involving 2 or 3 standard limb leads and V2 to V6 chest lead with reciprocal depression in the AVR and sometimes in V1, and there is depression of the PR segment. In the stage 2, after several days, ST segment returns to normal. In stage 3, weeks to months, the T wave become inverted, and in stage 4, the ECG returns to normal. Pericarditis can sometimes lead to pericardial effusion also if it develops in a short duration it can lead to cardiac tamponade. With effusion, the heart sound may become fainter, friction rub and the apex impulse may disappear, and the QRS complex in the ECG may be low voltage or maybe alternate low voltage normal voltage complex known as electrical alterance. The lung may be compressed by pericardial fluid with a patch of dullness and increased fremitus beneath the angle of left scapula, and this is known as Ewart sign. The chest X-ray shows the water bottle configuration. This is the typical configuration produced by a symmetric enlargement of heart due to pericardial fluid. Echocardiography is sensitive and specific and allows localization and estimation of the quantity of pericardial fluid. CT and MRI may be needed to identify loculated effusion, pericardial thickening, and identification of pericardial mass. Let us now talk about the comparison of acute pericarditis with acute myocardial infarction. The chest pain of acute pericarditis can be confusing and can be confused with acute myocardial infarction. Modest elevation of the cardiac biomarker can occur in acute pericarditis due to the involvement of epicardium and myocardium. Extensive ST elevation may be seen, and this dissociation, the modest elevation of markers and extensive ST elevation, is suggestive of acute pericarditis. And also, the pain do not radiate to trapezius ridge in acute myocardial infarction. Let us now talk about the treatment of acute pericarditis. Treatment include bed rest, anti-inflammatory aspirin 2 to 4 gram per day, along with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen 600 to 800 milligram 3 times a day, indomethacin 25 to 50 milligram 3 times a day, with gastric protection using PPI. Omeprazole 20 milligram once a day can be used, and this is given for 1 to 2 weeks and is tapered over several weeks. And along with this, colchicine should be given 0.5 milligram once a day if body weight is less than 70, and twice a day if body weight is more than 70 for 3 months. In case of failed therapy, glucocorticoid can be used. Glucocorticoid prednisolone 1 milligram per kg for 2 to 4 days followed by tapering. Other drugs include azathioprine, IL-1B antagonist, anakinra, and in case the condition cannot be controlled by medical therapy and there is multiple recurrences of acute pericarditis, surgical intervention may be needed. So pericardial stripping may be needed if there are recurrent attacks of pericarditis. So this was all about the acute pericarditis, and this is all about the today's class.